if you guys know this, but things are getting crazier and crazier. And in today's world, having the ability to defend yourself and those around you at a moment's notice is becoming incredibly important. Hence why I brought you here today. This is my Glock 48 MOS, and today we're going to talk about why I think this is one of the best budget-priced concealed carry weapons on the market. And we'll talk about some budget upgrades you can make to this weapon to make it more effective for everyday use. So let's go to the build table and we'll talk about what I've done. Alright guys, without further ado, here's my Glock 48 MOS. Now, the reason I chose this pistol, there's a couple reasons. The biggest one for me, besides it being a Glock, I wanted that reliability in everyday carry pistol, was also the fitment. One of the biggest things when I'm helping people pick out firearms when I was working for an FFL or just in personal life is making sure that that pistol is going to fit for them when they're carrying it. You know, you're using this prospectively in a high stress situation, so you want something that you're going to be able to use effectively and comfortably. So I went with this, and there's a few things I did to kind of make it even better. Now, another consideration I had with this gun was pricing. The 48 comes in kind of in the middle of Glock's price range. You have some of the lower end guns like your older generation 17s or your 43 or your 42. This is just kind of blending a lot of the more desirable qualities of their full-size modern pistols with that better price point, so I went with that as well. And then obviously I went for a Glock because I wanted reliability. I have found that Glock's reliability is not just a mythical thing, it is true. And I think that investment in your long-term safety and operational ability is worth the price of entry. So I went with this pistol. There's other good options out there that I think are worth taking a look at. Taurus has some really good budget-minded options, like the GX4. You have the G3 line, which I think are fine. They're not like top of the line or anything, but they're fine. I mean, if you're in Afghanistan, they're top of the line. There's a video of a guy pulling one of those out of the back of a gun market. But the point is, Tauruses are actually surprisingly good. They can be fine for now until you want to upgrade to something a little nicer. Another good option would be like a Canik TP9 compact, and then there's also the PSA Dagger line. They have some compact options there. Another one that I'm actually surprised that I'm going to recommend, but I think is a decent option in this day and age, is Smith & Wesson. The M&P Easy line is not bad whatsoever. They're really easy, especially for people who are a little less strong to shoot. Um, they're a little finicky, but overall good pistols. There are some normal M&P 9s that are out there that can be considered a good, decent choice for concealed carry use also. So keep those in mind going forward. Always be looking for good deals. But I ended up going with a 48 just because I thought it was the best option for me at the time. Now there's a few things I did to this pistol to make it, in my opinion, more able to be carried effectively. And one I think a lot of pistols should have done to them is a grip modification. Now, you're going to see a lot of your modern polymer frame pistols coming with kind of more tacky grips with a lot of structure to them. In the case of Glock, not so much yet. They still have that kind of classic stippled feel, but there's still not a ton of tackiness to that grip. And as I said, you want to be able to get on this pistol fast and operate well, even when your hands are sweaty or it's hot out or you got sweat on the gun, or it's raining. Like, there's a lot of different scenarios in which this gun could get a little slippery, so having that extra purchase on it becomes really important. There's two general ways to do this. You can either grip tape the gun like I have, or you can go for a stipling job, whether it be from a gunsmith or a DIY kind of scenario. Just word of warning there, those are permanent modifications. That's something that's always done to the gun. The nice thing about grip tapes is you can take them off, you can change them, you can tinker with it as you please. I did a DIY job on grip taping, and I think it turned out actually pretty nice. It's not perfect, but if you get a sheet of grip tape, it's on the high end, like $10 usually, and you can do like 4 or 5 guns with that sheet of grip tape like I have. So you get a lot of mileage with what you buy. You can tinker, you can experiment, and you end up with a really nice looking modification to your gun. With this, I just did a tape like layer, and then I put paper over it and traced it essentially, and I got actually pretty much a reusable template. So if I ever had a friend that had a 48 or something like that, I could make them a grip, for their gun, or a 43X for that matter. The other modification I did that's easy to see is magazine extensions. Um, I think one of the best things, especially for a compact or subcompact pistol, that someone can do, unless you have hands that completely, facilitate the use of that gun effectively, is just adding like a +2 plate on the bottom. And this isn't just to add more ammo capacity, although that is a nice perk, but also you get a little bit more purchase on the bottom of the pistol when you have that magazine installed. So I went for worn plates. That's just what my FFL had in stock. I would actually probably go with them again. They're really nice metal. I've dropped them on the floor a bunch of times. And there's not a nick on them. They're super durable. They're like $35 for a plate, but they're, I think, worth the money. You're getting what you pay for there. The only thing with these is they don't come with their own follower springs. I just stretched the Glock spring out a little bit that came with the magazine. You can get varying mileage with that. Warren will send you stiffer springs though, so not a huge deal there. I think as far as an upgrade, this is something I would do again in the future if I ever built out another pistol like this. On a similar subject, I also have an extra magazine that I carry from time to time in this crossbreed magazine holder. Just clips on the inside of my belt. I don't carry with like a sidecar or an appendix carry. It just doesn't work for me. I'm a bigger guy. When you got a little bit of a gut on you that you're trying to work off, that's something that you have to take into consideration how you're carrying your pistol. In my case, I carry the pistol about a 4 o'clock, and I carry the magazine at about a 7 to 8 o'clock on my belt line. That keeps things concealed, and if I ever carry this, it makes it so I can easily draw it out and operate the weapon. This is something I don't carry all the time. It's just if I'm going to maybe a sketchy area, if things are getting a little crazy in the world, or I think I might need it, I can just have that ready to go. So, worth having around. If it doesn't just sit on your shelf all the time, at least you have it. And then the last modifications are internal. Let me pop this apart and I'll show you what I've done really quick. So in general, there's a couple things on Glocks that I would recommend doing internally. Overall, I wouldn't recommend going down the trap that I almost did and getting like a custom trigger and a bunch of weird parts. I would keep things relatively stock as possible on a carry pistol, and instead of trying to get Gucci parts, try upgrading the parts that you have already with the pistol. The only part I really upgraded was the crossbar that comes down off of my trigger bar. It was like a $25 upgrade, which is a little expensive for such a small piece of metal, but you get a perfectly factory polished piece of metal, and I think that is an essential upgrade for anyone getting into a Glock this size. The stock trigger is extremely stiff. It doesn't have much of a easy break. It's a very hard trigger pull, and that's going to pull you off target a little bit when you pull the trigger, unless you're really disciplined with that trigger pull. So having custom parts in it that make the trigger break, in this case a little bit more of a rolling trigger break, will help you with accuracy for sure. So I replaced the crossbar. I polished parts of the trigger bar, parts that make contact with other pieces of metal. Remember, this is basically a bullpup. You have a rearward magazine. You're ejecting pretty much over top of the trigger. So that linkage is something that's going to be a little bit of a stumbling block for smoothness. So polishing different parts of that linkage that make contact with metal is a super easy modification to make. And then lastly, I basically polished parts of the safety that's down here by the striker, and I polished part of the striker assembly itself. There's some good guides on how to do that online. I can't demonstrate how to do that on YouTube. But just keep in mind, polishing certain parts of the pistol will help the trigger pull immensely. And instead of a really stiff, hard trigger pull, what you end up with is, in this case, a nice rolling trigger pull instead of like a really hard wall that you hit. Just a nice rolling pull. And there's still some weight there. You don't want something that's going to be on a hair trigger. When you're carrying a gun like this, that's the last thing you want. If you don't want to be having the gun go off if you had a bump in the road. So having a rolling trigger pull like that with still a little bit of weight, I think, is the ideal for a carry gun like this. It just allows for a little bit more peace of mind and a little bit more effectiveness in shooting long term. Now, when getting set up with a pistol, the next kind of consideration that I make after I've made modifications to the pistol itself is how I'm carrying it. And there's kind of a couple different trains of thought here. Besides just simply the fact of where you're carrying the pistol, there's also the two different types of holsters that you're going to encounter. You're either going to encounter a fully enclosed kydex that's just that kind of protects up to the side of the gun and leaves the the grip pretty much exposed like this Safariland that I carry my 48 with. And then you're gonna see stuff with like a big backing on it that's meant for comfort, like this alien gear that was for my old pistol. There's pros and cons to both. I really recommend alien gears to a lot of people, especially if you're carrying at a 4 o'clock. These are super comfortable. This is the plate off of my old gun, but you can get plates for different guns and switch them out to their different holsters. I already did that for my range belt. I'll probably do that with this holster as well, because it's just super comfortable to carry. It comes with a nice neoprene backing on it. So, you hardly feel the pistol when you're carrying it. Even when I carried a big full size like I used to have, I didn't feel it super, often when I was wearing this holster. This Safariland, at the same time, has been a really good holster. And there's other companies that make holsters like this. We the People makes holsters that are kind of a similar style. I just grabbed this because it was a little bit on the cheaper end. I just wanted to get a holster in the meantime until I was able to upgrade my alien gear. And I've actually really liked it. I've kind of made it my normal carry holster for this 48. The retention's really nice. You have a nice kind of stop that slots in with the trigger guard, and it makes it so this gun doesn't really go anywhere unless you want it to go anywhere. Even when I'm not carrying, if it's just sitting at my house, I always have this gun in this holster. Glocks have a trigger safety, so you want to have that fully shielded. But I've been a really big fan of this Safariland holster. There's other holsters, as I said, like it. Like We the People makes a great holster. And then, the other style of holster that I'm a little less familiar with, because I don't carry appendix, is going to be your kind of sidecar holster. You have a lot of different options on that or on the market. I know TRX Arms makes a good version of that. I've seen Warrior Poet Society put those out. So shop around for a good holster. If you can get into a gun store and try them on in person, do that. That's going to tell you what's comfortable and what's not. That's what I should have done in the first place, and I didn't. I ended up going through a couple cheap holsters before I came to find what I like to use. So be careful with that. Make sure you choose good stuff. And then the last general consideration that you ought to make when choosing what you carry is ammo. There's been a lot of discourse lately about people defending themselves with the ammo they have and getting in trouble because maybe it's kind of some funky ammo, maybe it's stuff that's not really, a normal kind of hollow point. Maybe it's like that weird G5 research stuff that comes out that I absolutely hate. It's stupid Mall Ninja crap and should be nowhere near your pistol if you're carrying it every day. If I offended you, I'm sorry. That kind of stuff just has no place on a pistol. Not only can it potentially affect the operation of your pistol, but it also can get you in trouble, bringing me back to my point. Carrying something that's a very standard hollow point is going to be your best bet. If anything, I've seen people going into their local police station and asking what their police force carries, and that's what they'll carry. Usually you're going to be looking at like Spear Gold Dot, which is not a super easy ammo to find, but it's good ammo if you can get it. I usually recommend Hornadays. American Gunner is their kind of budget hollow point, and it's going to be about the same price as like your other brands of hollow points. Hornaday makes great ammo. I recommend them highly. And the great thing about American Gunner too is on their more premium like critical defense or critical duty bullets, there's going to be like a little rubber stopper like right in the middle of the hollow point, and that's nice sometimes, but I've seen that get caught in some mostly plastic magazines. So having something that's a purely just FMJ hollow point, that's going to make it so it feeds a little bit better sometimes. I just think that trade-off for, reliability is really nice. And the price on these are really right. Usually you're looking, at the most $20 for a box of these. As things sit right now, ammo price is probably going to go up here in a little bit. Sierra is another one that's been really good. I've seen a lot of these on sale, so I grabbed a box. These are 115 grains. These are 124s. I recommend something higher grain if you're carrying with a compact pistol because you're losing a little bit of velocity when you have a shorter barrel. So having something that's a higher grain, when you have a shorter barrel, it's going to make up for that kinetic energy loss. And then just one other thing really quick about your projectiles that you're shooting. I recommend usually a thicker walled projectile rather than a thinner walled projectile like this, because when that bullet mushrooms, when it hits a target, it's going to deliver a more concentrated push of kinetic energy rather than a wider spread out kind of hit of kinetic energy. One of the things I think is really important with concealed carry pistols is that you deliver stopping power, not just lethality. If you're able to hit someone with a 145 grain bullet and it really delivers a shock to their systems and you don't hit them in the right spot, that's either going to make them kind of reassess their actions or it's going to stop them in their tracks and they might, let off a little bit. Granted, they just got, that in this scenario, they just got shot. So that's a whole another thing altogether. But just think about how that bullet is going to deform. I've seen a lot of people get into stuff that like banana peels out and stuff, but I always recommend something that's going to mushroom nice and concentrated and deliver the most amount of force possible. So guys, that pretty much wraps up this video on my concealed carry pistol. This has been a build I've been very passionate about. I've learned a lot about this sector of the gun world from this pistol over the last few months, and I'm really excited that I'm able to share this information with you guys so that this may benefit you going forward. I'm also really excited to be continuing my 300 Blackout PDW build series. I just got some parts in. I'm going to be putting out some videos on an upgrade for that coming out very soon, so keep your eyes open for that. But guys, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you got some good information out of this that will help you choose your concealed carry weapon going forward. I thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.